How many of you would be willing to work a full-time job and not get paid a thing for it? Nobody? How many of you would be willing to go to school full-time while you work at this job? Nobody again. Well, did you know that every collegiate athlete works that job with no pay and also goes to school at the same time? These athletes are held at an amateur status by the NCAA and are therefore not allowed to take any form of compensation for their hard work. Now, how fair does that sound? Now, I know what you're thinking. Why should we care about college athletes getting paid or not? Most of them end up going pro and make millions of dollars anyway. That's true. Some do make millions. But what about the others? According to Michael Lewis of the New York Times, less than 1% of big-time college football players actually sign professional contracts, and even fewer make serious money. What about volleyball, soccer, baseball, or basketball? The percentages of these athletes making it to the professional ranks are even lower. And making big money, that's a whole different level. Think if your mom or dad were receiving no money for their job. Wouldn't you say their employer is taking advantage of them as well? It's the same for these athletes. The NCAA is taking advantage of them by not paying them for their hard work. The NCAA must change its stance on player compensation to protect the rights of their athletes. A study done in 2011 by the National Collegiate Players Association really shows the effects that the amateur status has on its student athletes. What they eventually settled on was the NCAA rules force players to pay in thousands of educational-related expenses, all while working in a culture that underestimates their contributions to a multi-billion-dollar industry. They try and hide this fact by giving out full scholarships to the athletes, but are these scholarships really full? The study concluded that for the 2009-2010 academic year, the average annual scholarship shortfall or out-of-pocket expenses for football, bowl series, full scholarship players was $3,222. Also, the percentages of FBS schools whose full scholarships left their players in poverty was 85%. Every year, these athletes are told that they will never have to worry about expenses while attending classes. But after hearing these statistics, it is very obvious that this is not the case. So why is the NCAA so adamant about keeping their student athletes amateurs? Their decision stems from one thing and one thing only: money. According to The Atlantic, the football programs at Texas, Florida, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, to name a few big revenue football schools, earn between $40 and $80 million in profits a year. And that's after paying coaches multi-million-dollar contracts. Some coaches, like Alabama's Nick Saban, make $6.5 million per year. This amount of profits is hard to believe, but it is very accurate of large, big-time college football departments. While these schools continue to get wealthier, the student athlete continues to struggle financially. With these big-time athletics comes big-time television contracts with the NCAA and its conferences. According to the National Collegiate Players Association, the NCAA has a 14-year contract with CBS and Turner Sports to annually broadcast men's basketball games. This contract is worth $10.8 billion. While the NCAA and its schools make billions, the players that make these games even possible receive no money at all. If the NCAA continues its current stance, then no progress in student-athlete compensation will be made. While the NCAA and universities are bringing in record profits, more and more student-athletes will fall into poverty. You will continue to see athletic directors and coaches make millions of dollars, and the student-athlete will be left to live from paycheck to paycheck. Finally, if the student-athlete continues to receive no compensation, illegal benefits and cheating will continue because that is their only way of living above the poverty line. So what can be done? Student athletes could begin to have sponsors, a base salary could be established, a healthcare system could be set up for current and former players. These options could easily be funded by the profits of the universities. Also, these proposed changes would significantly improve the well-being of student athletes. While this problem is under constant debate, not enough people like you and me are doing enough to raise awareness about this injustice. Write your favorite college team, their athletic director. Make your voice heard. Also, let NCAA leaders know how you feel about this. Email them your thoughts and suggestions. For more information about the NCAA and student athlete compensation, visit the National Collegiate Players Association website at www.ncpanow.org. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.